All right, welcome to the Dales Report, and today we're going to focus on the DeFi space, and most notably a company called WonderFi that is set to bring its decentralized financial services to the masses tomorrow, going public on the Neo Exchange, heating up an already red-hot industry, and two major players from WonderFi join me to shed light on all the buzz surrounding the company. CEO Ben Samaru, along with ABC Shark Tank host and strategic investor KevinO'Leary. Gentlemen, appreciate you joining me here on the podcast here today.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it. Ben, I want to begin with you. The DeFi space, as mentioned, is red hot right now. You're developing innovative solutions to make participating in DeFi easy, such as linking crypto wallet signups to an email address. So based off of that, it sounds simple, but there's more to it. So what's causing investors to sit up, take notice of WonderFi right now?
Yeah, so everyone's really excited about DeFi right now and its potential, and that's driving a lot of the interest. But the big problem with DeFi is that it's too complicated for your average person. I read an article recently which said DeFi is difficult to embrace because it's overwhelming. And I think that's exactly on point for anybody that's played around with any of the apps or protocols in DeFi. It's a pretty similar experience unless you're a very seasoned crypto trader or have been in the crypto space for a long time. And so with DeFi, we're really at an early stage and we need something that's more accessible and that your average person can use. With WonderFi, we're really focused on creating access for that average person. And that's really what's generated a lot of interest in the company, in our product. And that's why we've attracted people like Kevin and Josh who really have shared beliefs in our mission.
Kevin, you're a big name, big brand who's pitched investment opportunities every day. You have the capabilities of creating huge awareness for companies you get involved in. So why this company? What was it when you heard the vision from Ben that made you decide this is something I need to be part of?
You know, it started about a year and a half ago when I was divesting of my commercial real estate portfolio, down from 31% of our operating company's book down to 8%. So it generated a lot of cash. And at that time, we were doing cash management for various firms on the street and getting 20 basis points on our cash, which is much less than inflation, which is north of 2% right now. And that's the first step I got into with DeFi because I asked some of the members of my team, go find me other opportunities for this cash. And we stumbled into the idea of stablecoins. Now, the challenge with doing this, let alone if you're just an individual investor, but if you have to be compliant, in other words, you have an internal compliance department, you have external auditors, or you have regulators you have to report to, this is not easy. And, you know, it took me months to actually get it set up. But I am writing contracts now on USDC and getting anywhere from 3.5% to 5.5% interest based on duration. And I'm using other tokens and coins as well. And this is the essence of what really got me into DeFi. So when I started doing this and realized the complexity of setting it up, what a nightmare it was for me. And my daughter calls me up, who's 27 in New York, and says, Dad, I've got $14,000 sitting in my bank account. I'm making nothing. I'm not getting 20 basis points, I'm getting 0. What are you doing? How are you getting this thing at 5%? And I said to her, you'll never figure this out. And that's when I ran into Ben, and he had figured it out so that anybody like my daughter or another 100 million people just like her that don't have a chance to make yield on there, this is just one aspect of DeFi, but it's so attractive right now. That's the genesis of my involvement in the company. I talked to Josh, he's the whole Gen Z thing. He's got, 40 million followers. They also want to make some interest on their savings. Who knew? And all of a sudden, we started to work together on this project. I think this is going to be very successful.
Yeah, well, you found success investing in early stage public companies, most notably psychedelic drug development company MindMed, which needs no introduction. It's seen incredible growth for early stage investors, and now you've chosen to invest in WonderFi as your preferred. And I want to outline, too, the only DeFi investment that you're actually investing into. So what parallels do you see between the two? Are there any similarities that stand out between the two companies?
Yeah, there's no question over the last 3 years that there's a direct correlation between social media, and market capitalization. The ability for a company to do two things successfully has really overruled practically everything else. Number one, acquire customers at an economic rate. In other words, at a cost of acquisition less than lifetime value. I can really help there because I have millions of followers. Same with Josh Richards. Number two, tell the company's story. Get it out there. Let people know what its mission is, and I can help there too, because I'm going to tell this company's story. Look, there's many investments you can make in DeFi, but nobody knows exactly what they do or where they are. We're going to really blow the horn on this company saying, here's what its mission is, here's what it does, and you can choose to invest in it or not. But it's what I'm doing in terms of what I would like to make an offer to my own constituency, my social media base. I want this to be incredibly simple to use. You download it on your phone, you press a few buttons that that set you up, and then you can actually deploy some capital and get some yield, and you'll be compliant. You'll get reporting so that you're not offside with your 1099 and whatever else you have to worry about.
So Ben, how big does this get as Kevin is building out the story along with Josh? Like, where do we see the masses with the DeSci platform? Like, do we see, the way they use their current bank portfolios and platforms? Is this going to take its place, you think, eventually into the future? And if so, how fast?
What we know now is that finance is ready for disruption. And I think everybody is driving towards and excited about DeFi because it does provide a more efficient and transparent way to do finance. It's hard to tell how this will play out in terms of mass adoption. In my view, it's a little bit too early. But I think what is interesting is DeFi offers a lot of different functionality across the globe. So for people in North America, there's a lot of interest around being able to earn interest on your assets, which you can't do through deposits in your bank account right now. And then in some developing countries, it's being able to have access to a US dollar stablecoin when your country's currency is subject to massive inflation. And so we're seeing these really different use cases, but I think it goes to show that there is real value behind DeFi, and it all comes back to making sure that people have proper access to this technology so that we can get to a stage where truly anyone with an internet connection can access DeFi. And I think what we're waiting for is that Netscape Navigator moment for DeFi, and that's really what we're focused on achieving with WonderFi.
Kevin, you've also evolved the DeFi space / crypto space. Despite criticizing Bitcoin in the past, you've now gone on record as saying DeFi is going to eliminate financial middlemen and have them out of work and looking for new jobs. Do you still believe that? And if so, how fast do you see that happening?
It's going to happen faster than you think. Let's just take one market, one of the largest markets on earth, a multi-trillion-dollar currency exchange market, FX trading. I've been doing it for 30 years as an investor in Europe, England, Switzerland, US, Asia. Every time I want to buy a security, bond or stock in its domestic market, so it's trading in London or trading in Zurich or whatever, I have to convert to the Swiss franc, for example. And I always get clipped by an FX trader who adds absolutely zero value to me, absolutely no value whatsoever at all, coming or going. They're completely worthless. And so I would love to help those people find meaningful work, just not being FX traders, because they're useless, they're worthless. And so what I'd rather have is the regulator in Switzerland agree with the regulator in the United States to let me use DeFi to make my purchase frictionless. It'll be practically a fraction of what I have to pay right now, which really bothers me because over the years I've probably paid millions and millions of dollars for something that's worthless to me. So I'm on a mission to eliminate those guys. Let's just start there. And everybody else that's causing friction in financial services, I have no problem when you add value, when you give me a service that I need to enhance my economic outcome. But when you add no value whatsoever, I want to get rid of you.
Yeah, makes sense. Ben, I wanted to ask, I know last week we had big news with the heist that happened on the Poly network. Is there any kind of questions or concerns about security issues when it comes to DeFi and your platform?
So it's a good point to bring up. It's really why a mainstream consumer-facing platform like WonderFi is really important for the space. What we're focused on is providing a curated experience for users that don't have a ton of experience. And it's really around selecting secure, audited, tested protocols and assets. And that's really what our core focus is, so that new users don't get introduced to higher risk technology and assets. In terms of the incident itself, it was a coding error by the developers, and that allowed people to come in and siphon funds from the account, or it allowed the hacker to do that. And I don't think it's a one-off event because this is new technology. Mistakes will happen, and that's common when people are experimenting and building things in a new industry. But I think what we can learn from this is people should only be interacting with protocols that have been stress tested, audited, and are built on tried and tested networks and have strong and credible teams behind them. Everything else really should be viewed as experimental. And that is, again, why something like WonderFi is very important for us getting past the early adopter phase and into more of the majority segment, which doesn't have the background experience expertise and needs a curated and vetted platform.
Last thing I wanted to ask both of you, you're going public tomorrow on the NEO Exchange. What's the mission statement? Tell our audience where you expect this company to be in 12 months from now. Do you expect generating revenue in 2022? What ultimately does that revenue model look like? And Kevin, we'll begin with you.
You know, you never know the adoption rates and how it's going to work, but I think the market is pretty flexible in terms of understanding that we're one of the very first DeFi companies to go to the public markets and tell our story. And I think it's part of helping us get adoption. We're going to be, using our megaphones to tell people to try this. And as we grow and as we scale and as we find out which messages trigger adoption and trial, because really you've got to download the app and try it. And we'll learn a lot about what our users want from us from the first 10,000 users. I mean, this happens in a lot of the apps that I've invested in the past. And then you modify and you adapt and you pivot. But the point is, it's here to stay. It's where the puck is going. I'm using it now on a much more complex platform to service my operating company needs with just my cash balance. And I'm just talking about one aspect of it. And just the ability to get yield, which is very interesting. But I think also that within 6 months, we'll have a pretty good idea of the direction of this industry. And I think I'm very interested to see where it goes. It's providing service at a lower cost. That's the definition. That's the mission. And to democratize it. My daughter wants to use it. So until and her friends and my son's friends and millions of other people that follow Josh, everybody's trying to figure this out. Particularly the younger generation, the Gen Zs that are used to crypto. This is not a big leap for them. If you're 65 years old sitting in your condo in Miami, maybe it is a big leap, but we'll help you too. We'll make it easy. But if you're 23 years old, you're already hip to this. You just need the app.
Yeah, generational shift, it appears. Ben, you want to add anything to that?
I think that's bang on. And really, we're excited to take WonderFi public tomorrow on the NEO. I think it aside from our platform and the app, which really is the focus, we also hold some crypto and DeFi assets on our balance sheet and generate yield or revenue from those through the ecosystem. And so that is with the theme of providing better access to DeFi. So we have the app, we have assets that that generate revenue in that way, and we're also working on some integrations and partnerships which are under wraps right now, but we hope to, which we hope will help us grow the space significantly. So when you ask about 6 or 12 months down the road, what's the vision for the company? It really is, the definitive company in the DeFi space that is helping to bring this technology to the masses.
So it begins trading on the NEO Exchange tomorrow under what ticker symbol?
Wonder, WNDR.
Excellent. Listen, appreciate you guys catching in with us here on the podcast. Best of luck for tomorrow. And obviously a company we'll be watching closely. Appreciate your time.